you know, as wet as we are. And thermal strengths and heights, there's a little bit of variability there due to what we have. And I think everybody here is aware of that. I don't know how many of you heard it, but they have a Jesus that got struck by lightning last night, I guess about 6 miles from here. Jesus is no longer standing. So that's pretty serious. But anyway, let's just use this as our airport. And what I'll do is I'll draw a circle around it of about 10 miles.
Quiet.
That's our airport, 10-mile radius around it. And what we're going to see at 1 p.m. is about 2,600. And these are all MSLs. Okay? We need about 82 degrees on the temperature to get up to what we consider as a safe launch height. Because if we can't support 2,000 feet, that means the people that are releasing are coming down, right? And we talked about that. So this is 2,600 at 1 p.m. The temperatures right now aren't warming like we should be seeing them warm. So it might take a little bit longer for this to work. This quadrant up here, okay, that would be your northwest quadrant. We see about 2,500 MSL, and we see about 2,800 in this area close to the airport, and it's going to get a little weaker up here, 24. All of these quadrants have had rain. Sometimes, or last night, and we see an inch and a half, and maybe even more than 2 inches. So understand the fields are saturated. They aren't holding any more water. The Greater Miami River came up again this morning on its height. That indicates a lot of the water's running off into the river, and because of that, these fields are just simply saturated. And you should put that in your brain. That's dangerous. Okay, so down here in the Wilmington quadrant, down here southeast, we see 2,700, and it's going to rise to 3,000 MSL as we get a little farther away from the airport. Over here, it's about 2,600 MSL. That's at 1 p.m. Everybody with us? Anyway, at 4 p.m., we're going to see this go to 2,700, and we'll see this to come up to 3,800. We're going to see this, maybe 3,500 close in, and we're going to see maybe 3,700 plus down here. That's at about 30 miles from the airport, 30 to 40 miles. Okay? Ray and I are in agreements with this, and we don't talk. This is my mythology, and this is, you know, Ray sending me his stuff. So we're pretty close on what we're talking about so far. You'll see Ray's stuff when they pass out the task sheet, because he's sending a complete task sheet with all your weather on. Okay, so you'll see all this again. And at 4 p.m. we're down here in this quadrant. It's going to rise to 3,500. And over here we already talked about 3,500 and 3,700 at 4 p.m. At 2 p.m. it's partly cloudy skies. At 5 p.m. it's going to be overcast. This evening again they're calling for thunderstorms, heavy rain. So if it comes through, it comes through. If it misses, it misses. It's not possible to say exactly where these things come through. Everybody knows that. Lift. And you want to write down the numbers like you stand behind the board?
Well, no.
I'm doing okay?
Yeah, I don't want to take the charge.
Why do you keep walking back? You know, you didn't do that the other day. You were friendly. You know, then you walk back. Look at this. You're not helping at all. Talk about bailing. The lift. Around the airport, what we're seeing is maybe, and this is total lift. This isn't what you might get. This is an achieved climbs. About 350 feet a minute to possibly 400 feet a minute. Okay? Out here in this quadrant, again, it's looking pretty consistent all the way around the picture. 350 to 450 feet a minute. Same way down in here. It's that. But you're going to have to knock down a little bit because of the water. How much do we have to knock down? I can tell you probably a knot. So if I knock this 400 feet a minute down a knot, it's down to 3 knots. If I take off the glider climb rate, you're down to a knot and a half. And I believe I talked with quite a few of the folks yesterday. I talked with Dale and how what he saw. I talked with Gary Ittner. I talked with Hank. I talked with Ken Sorensen, who ran into Wade before the task started and got how high, Ken? So, 5,000, Ken. Say 5,000. 5,000. And
you were high all right, but
your winds as you go up in height get a little bit stronger. Basically, at 3,000 feet, you're seeing 278 degrees at 11, and that was updated at 9 a.m. off the Wilmington site. And at 5,000 feet MSL, you're seeing 274, 21 knots. So as you get up, but you'll never see 5,000. Ken might. So that's about it. And thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Tom. That's our weather. The water guys, many of you would like to get a weight established on the weight sheet because that's the nationals we weigh you. And the water guys, I want to talk to them because they're going to tell you where they're going to be set up. So let's have the water guys talk, and then I'll.
The weight guy.
way guy, not water.
Wait,
We're not providing
your
water.
water, your weight.
Nature is providing water.
Yeah.
Those of us who have had one or more forms of skin cancer cover up sometimes, so I'm really not in uniform here. But my name is Michael Hayden. I've met a number of you. This is Steve Statkus, and Bill Kahn is over there. We're going to be doing the weighing for the whole contest. This morning, Steve and Bill have set the scales up down this side of the grid, so just a little bit this side of the grid, far enough that nobody should bump anybody else. We've set it up in such a way that you can just pull through. So, you know, we're going to tow you with golf carts, but we can bring your aircraft up. And we'd like to get three things today, since it's the first day that we've looked at anybody. We'd like to look at your placard real quick and capture the maximum gross weight off of that for our little spreadsheet. And then we would like to weigh your glider. And then we actually have three scales all connected to a thing, so you don't even have to climb in the cockpit. But we'd like to have your glider on the scales and have the pilot step on the third scale, and we'll just add them together to get the actual gross weight in flying condition. And I'm sure you all are aware of all the rules and all that stuff. What we're going to do is come up with weights. We'll tell you what weight we get, and we will capture those and pass them on to Linda, of course. So you don't need to do anything except get your gliders ready, because somebody will tow you to where the scales are. Yes, John?
Do you not wish to do then a towing weight for the rest of the week?
What we're planning right now is to weigh everybody this morning, or today before we get there. And then each day thereafter, in accordance with the rules and Linda's direction, we're going to weigh the top 5 people. Gross weight, each day.
What I was meaning is I thought we were going to try to make it so you could just drive over the scale.
You're not going to be in your car today on the.
Oh, you mean the tow
grid.
bar? You mean the tow bar? The only way to do that right is to have you at your maximum gross weight, and measure main wheel, tail wheel, and then put you on the tow bar and weigh the main wheel, and because that's the only weight we can compare to then. And if you're not at your maximum gross weight today, then we're going to get some lesser weight, and we're not going to be able to use it. So if somebody's right at maximum gross, then yes, we will capture it. If you want to, we'll put you on a tow bar and weigh you that way. You can't come on the field with your cars, so we're going to have to figure out where to do that. Yes, John?
Our dilemma for today is that we're recommending a water-based. So
We haven't got to that part yet.
Okay, all right. So.
Yeah, so these weights are not going to be at max gross, but the rules say that we should weigh everybody anyway at one time to make sure that we're okay. So we'll just capture that information today.
Ken?
Do you want to weigh us today, even though we may not, just a possibility, we may not be full of water?
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, do you want to weigh us, do you want everybody weighed today, regardless?
This is kind of more informational where they're going to be, when the day will be that you are full of water.
Well,
The day may not be today.
Well, you're the director. Do we want to weigh everybody today or not? We were going to do it so that we could see the placards one time and make sure the sheet is right,
Okay.
and we'll get some weights
Why
that we
don't
can compare.
why don't we do it this